Welcome all to the VIP panel for the first ever Global Men's Summit with a focus on masculinity in business. Woo! Thank you so much for being here. It has been an epic 2 days. So we have we have a lot of Australians here. Kalvin, I believe we're on right now. 2 Americans to 3 Aussies.
Aussie! Oi!
Julio's gonna jump in here. Okay, we got our Mexican flavor coming in here, and George, America coming back in 3-3. We got a tie, and Julio keeping us all honest. I love it. Oh, Superman! I love it. I feel like one of these days we're just going to all have to like don our favorite superhero costumes when we can do this. It's gonna be amazing. Sohan's Queen Buzz has the most awesome Wonder Woman suit, and she's on his storyline. You'll have to pop on there sometime so you can see the epic couple that they are, and what a fantastic representation of a healthy. You guys are so my good. Queen. Breaking the rules momentarily. We'll look past this moment since Boz is fantastic and Sohan just delivered us so much value.
Yes.
We may honor the beauty.
I'm sorry I missed that. Sohan, I'm sorry I missed it.
We were infiltrated for a little bit.
20 horses, 3 dogs, and 8 cats to feed.
Not that many. Come on. Like late or something?
Well, hashtag family first always. It's all good.
Family first. Yeah. It is fantastic. The amount of love that is here is just a really beautiful thing.
Trying to do the math, 1,000 times 20. What was that 20,000 pounds of horses to feed?
That's a lot of
horse.
Oh my
gosh.
10 tons, 10 tons of horse out there.
I'm imagining like the old giants in Norse mythology, the ice giants. When you say that, that's the first thing that comes to my brain.
Right.
20,000. No.
20,000 pounds of horse out there. Wow.
It's super cool. Are we having dinner? Is everybody having dinner right now?
Lunchtime for us Aussies.
Lunchtime here, love.
All right, gentlemen. So I think it would actually be great to start off because Brett had a question for Sohan, which was not able to be answered on our last one. So Sohan, why don't you give the audience a little bit of a frame in case they just missed your speech, so they can have a frame of reference before you answer Brett's question.
Sure, absolutely. So for those of you watching, we just got off a really crazy conversation about understanding what you really need to do when it comes to dealing with your state of being and not being a nice guy because you think nice means sacrificing yourself and dealing with other people to help them meet their needs and wants, but really learning how you can satisfy your own needs and wants, and also do that from a place of complete total contentment and fulfillment and feeling loved for yourself as opposed to relying on other people to do that. So with that, there are some cool questions that we will take answers to. And I think Brett had a question. We'll jump into that one. But I also believe I answered Julio's question, which we were talking about before. And that should lead into a good segue for Brett's question too, I reckon. So thank you, Julio, brother.
All right, excuse the noise. There's a little bit of grinding going on next door. So my apologies. I'll make it quick. I'll get the question out and you can answer it. Okay, so can't hear it. Can't hear me?
No.
Can't hear it.
Wait, no, we can hear you. We can't hear the grinding. So don't worry about
it. Oh, that's good. Oh, you're blessed then, because tell you what, trying to work, trying to listen, anyway. So my question to you, Sohan, is what is like for you, what's the big driver that keeps you going when you get those challenging moments, which I know you do. When you have those moments, you go, what am I doing and why? Like, what's that thing? What's that, other than your queen? I know you got that. Don't rub it in. Other than that, like, what is it? What is it that keeps you going? And I love, and by the way, just to premise, I wanted to say, I really love that you shared. It's so vitally important that you take responsibility. You've got to hear that, right?
Yeah, we can hear that one. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like being at the dentist. I love the fact that you said, you got to take responsibility, because that for me was, I mentioned in my talk that it was about growing up, like stop being a man child, 39-year-old man child. So yeah, what is it for you?
Yeah. So great question. Thank you. I know every single time I'm in that situation where I'm going, what the fuck? I have to literally realize that I'm causing it. I know that that's like a mantra. I have a thing where I say I'm causing this. I know it's me. I'm causing this for sure. Example. We were on our way to see her mum at the nursing home. We stopped by at a servo because we know she was hungry. I was hungry too. And we pulled over into the servo. She gets out, she's getting out of the car, and she said that was her first meal. So she was really hungry and starving. And she was about to go into the servo and get a couple of sandwiches or rolls. And as she's getting out of the car, she said, I'll just go and get it. I said, I'll go and get it, no problem. And she goes, no, I'll go, babe, it's all good. And I didn't hear her say, do you want something as well? So because she didn't ask me that, I literally, in that moment, I knew that I had traded my appreciation for expectation. My appreciation could have been nothing, just nothing. There was nothing to worry about, to think about. It was just literally being. But instead, I had this expectation that kicked in for me where I would go into the whoring stage. I normally ask, so why isn't she asking? I would normally ask the question, babe, do you want to eat something? Do you want me to get you anything? So why the fuck isn't she asking me that question? Because I haven't eaten either and I'm starving too. How dare she do that? And so in that moment, she gets out and I said, no, that's cool. I'll get out and get my own. That's cool. And I get out in this frenzy and I'm walking to the servo. She's walking into the servo. We both go into the servo. She's trying to look for what she wants. I pick up what I want. And again, it's not solved. We get to the till and she said, I'll pay for this. And I'm thinking in my head, she's talking only about her stuff, not mine as well. And I'm thinking all the stories, she's going to pay because she's trying to make a point. And so she's going to do that now. And she's just going to pay for her own shit. And now I'm just going to be quiet. And all this chatter is happening in my head. We go back she pays for the whole thing, by the way. And then we go back to the car. And as we get back in the car, we sit in the car. And so I want to resolve the situation. So I go into the state of, so, when you said that, and she goes, stop. I don't want to have this conversation. I'm stressed out enough already. I don't need this right now. Just stop. And in that moment, Brett, I went into this place of, I fucking caused this entire thing. Shut up. Because otherwise, the egocentric side of me would have gone, well, what do you mean stop? It's convenient for you to stop when you want to stop. And, you got to resolve this. It's convenient when you want to resolve it. You can't make an excuse of saying you're stressed out because you haven't. I could have gone into that. But I said, I caused this. So that gave me instant access to be present and fulfill the wish of, I don't want to have this convo. And guess what happened? It just completely, died. And we went back to normal. She saw her mom came out of the car and we were back to normal and everything was fantastic. So, that maturity in my spirit has come from this, knowing that I cause it and being present to that. And it doesn't happen all the time. You slip off the horse or get off the horse and you have to get back on. But that gets me back to my spirit. That was my spirit doing that, and which is great. I feel proud of that. And let it be easy. That has really, really paid off in big time. Let it be easy. Let it be easy. Let it be easy. It's been like constant mantra, let it be easy. And those are the best 4 words. I think when I'm dying, I want to say those last 4 words. Like Gandhi said, Hare Ram, or whatever he said. I want to say, let it be easy and take my last breath. I think that will leave a big mark on a lot of kids and a lot of men and women as well around the world.
And I'm glad you said that and you mentioned Gandhi because, be the change you want to see in the world. It's so simple.
That's it.
It's so simple, isn't it? But we make it so hard. I love that
That's
answer, mate. That was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks for asking the question. Thanks, brother.
Thank you so much for that, Sohan, and Brett for asking the question. And
Pleasure.
so I am going to make an ask of each of the gentlemen here to vulnerably share something that they're struggling with and offer it up to the group to have the support from one another and just share. And all people, each of you can give an answer of your perspective of how it can be served as it calls to you, and to just take a moment at whatever level of vulnerability you choose to bring forth. And feel free to just unmute yourself and bring it forward in inspiration, held in love.
I can feel Matthew thinking. Can feel him thinking.
It almost hurts. It almost hurts.
I can ask a question on that question.
Yes.
So my question is, like, do you want it to be something that is difficult to share, or do you just want something that perhaps you're going through that you think you're kind of dealing with it, but maybe you could use some perspective, some help, some guidance? Someone else might have a different view. Is that what you mean?
I think that whatever inspires your heart to share is what you should share.
Who's going first? Me?
I'll go first. I'll go first.
Okay.
We'll let Julio go first, and you can think on your decision between your two things, Brett. And we can always bring more forward, because we do have time. We have a big chunk of time here to role model for the men and women that could be watching this in the future, and what you feel like would both serve them through your own vulnerability, because that's what we're trying to share with everyone, right? Is how to be vulnerable, to show up in that space, to ask those questions, to ask for help, and to see what genuine non-judgmental support looks like. That's what we're modeling for everybody, while also getting the value for ourselves.
Okay, now that I know that someone is going to watch this, I don't have any question. No, just kidding.
Oh, Julio, I love you. You're great.
Just kidding.
I know.
Okay. What I have in my brain and in my mind lately, and it's kind of like real, not for a long time, but 2-3 months ago, is that as I share with when I talk with you, is that finding out myself with a new truth for myself. And when I talk to close people, like my wife, my kids, my sisters, for instance, they start kind of like paying attention, like that'd be fine. But there comes a point when that talk, it's like, holy shit, here comes this crazy man again. That, for me, it's normal, kind of like say normal saying crazy guy coming with the horses, or crazy guy coming with this and this and this and that. And that's, I'm used to. And at a certain point in my egoic profile, I like it when people say crazy guy. It fit me or my personality in some aspects. But the thing is that I started not to sharing that, because it was like speaking to no one, because no one was able to listen or to speak. So I got to deal with this stuff and work with that stuff. And I ask help, as Sohan was saying, because at the end of the day, I need to, or not that I need, I'm willing to find people, whatever I need to find them, that is just resonate with the same mind. And definitely I'm not going to find it here, or at least it's less probable to find here in this country, in this, or at least in this state, at least in these places where I move, because we are far away of the mind and the way we think. So when I get to that point, I mainly act by two ways, or I shut down and I just up there and sitting and watching and listening. Or the other one is that I start not going to other places, to the family reunions and parties and whatever, because for me, really, at certain point, they are so fucking boring, and they are free of judgments. And then you sat at a table with your family, my sisters or whatever, and they're just talking about judgments and this and good and this and bad. So that doesn't fit with my heart right now, and that doesn't fit with the whole thing that I'm sensing. So, for instance, it was interesting because it was like a personal training. Like what it was like going to the gym. You know, when you go to that family reunions, hearing all the chattering and stop the judgment and just open your heart and just be over there. It was really quite interesting, and I'm very grateful for that. But that I came to a point that just not longer. I mean, my social circle and my kind of like say inner circle, it's just like in another mood. I don't want to say that it's better or worse than mine, but it's in another mood. So I definitely go with the horses and I just spend time over there. But at the end of the day, I can take the horses to a restaurant that are gonna go inside the restaurant, you know. So it's not that I don't want to move from that part, but is that how can you or in your experience, how do you find out this balance? How do you work this balance to not get desperate and just one day, boom, you explode and say, fuck all of you. I'm just gonna grab my stuff and drive like Sohan 400 hours up to Canada or back down to Brazil, you know? Uh, I mean, it's quite like taking me a lot of thinking on how to find out that balance
You know,
without losing the mind.
Of losing the mind. Can I jump in?
Yeah, please.
If you look at what the feeling is that you feel in association to this, how do you feel? What's the real feeling you feel right now? Even when you think about it, what do you feel? How do you feel in your body?
When I talk about that, I'm feeling here in the belly like it's getting stuck, like
Yep.
tense. And
Okay.
if I take it to the label, it's like a kind of angry.
Okay, angry. Yeah, cool. And I think that's the not. I think I believe that's what we got to focus on the source. I believe source is always the place to go, and the source is not in the tangible reality. It's in the intangible reality, which is our home. Our home is in our heart. Our heart's where the nervous system. When you look at your core in your spirit, that's what you're feeling. That anger, and below that anger is obviously a lot of hurt still that exists, but if you still, sorry, my camera's gone off, but you can still hear me, I'll fix that. But what's really, really important is to say, well, what about dealing with that source? Can I get in front of that source? Can I work with that source? Can I sort that source out? Can I deal with that emotion of anger and realize that anger, because you would, or anyone would typically try and repress, suppress, avoid that feeling. And so we would do things in order to avoid, suppress, or repress that feeling, instead of being in a place where you can just allow that as part of your soul and then move forward from a place of state of peace. So instead of working on necessarily doing something about the tangible reality, I believe you want to go into that source and deal with that emotion, so that once that is dissipated, that tangible circumstance that you currently have in your story will completely have a place of peace. There will be no negative charge per se, like in this scenario, you're feeling it, you're feeling a knot in your solar plexus, and you're feeling that as anger, as you're labeling it. That essentially can completely go away in the sense of being resolved, not removed, not deleted, not destroyed. I'm not talking about removing your anger. I'm just saying, if you can just resolve that feeling by treating it like a baby and knowing that it's part of you, but giving the attention it's been missing for some reason or the other, without delving too much in the reason, you just literally will find that you will be at peace. And therefore, then those people around you will not affect. You know how the monks attain that state of peace and serenity and they cannot be shaken by what's happening around them that easily compared to someone else who's not. And that level of consciousness is available for all of us to tap into, but it's that level of peace that comes to us the moment we deal with the source of the issue, not so much that tangible reality, because your circumstances will keep changing based on how you feel, because you're the creator of them, you know that. Therefore, you just want to be able to deal with that source. And when you're at peace, then it'll help. That will not affect you at all. It'll have zero effect on you. The only effect it will have is love and peace.
Thank you, Sohan.
Pleasure. I'm going to fix my camera. Sorry, guys.
That's beautiful. Is there anyone else that would like to comment on that to support Julio in his experience?
Yeah.
George? George?
Yeah, it's I'm hearing some similar themes. So let me just kind of intertwine what I was going to share with Julio, because it's similar and maybe kind of on the same shared path and stuff. You know, I guess mine's kind of two-pronged. The one is I struggle. This is, I'm going to say this and then table it, and then I'm going to kind of intertwine in with Julio's. I struggle with asking for help. And I'm not talking emotional help or help. I struggle with asking, I've got 20 horses. I could use help, okay? It takes time to clean up, takes time to feed them. It takes time to doctor them. It takes, it takes a lot of my, and yet they always say, find what you love and you'll never work a day of your life. And I'm there. I love everything that I'm doing, but I ache at the end of the day because it is a lot of manual labor and it's time consuming and all of that. So I struggle with asking for help. I'm pretty damn good at being a Lone Ranger. But even Lone Ranger had Tonto. So I'm kind of like taking applications for a Tonto. But so table that, let's shift back over to Julio. In the work I'm doing with these Mustangs, what I'm finding, and again, I am finding that the blocks and the walls of what I'm doing get bigger and bigger in the natural horsemanship world and other people that have horses. It's like it is so hard reaching the horse community because they're still with the flag and the stick and the string and the round penning and all of this stuff, which is like, man, y'all are working way too hard and you're getting way hurt too often, but they just don't want to listen. They're all on that big Cobra Kai mentality instead of the Mr. Miyagi dojo. So, and I've realized I keep barking up the wrong tree. I keep hitting the wall over and over again. If I'm truly to help these Mustangs, I have to reach out of the horse world. There will be people in the horse world that come in because there is an element that is growing with what I'm doing. There's very few that are doing it with Mustangs. I can count 3. There might probably a 4th, but it's 3 out of a nation of 330 million. That's a pretty small sample. But I'm finding that I have to, and Julio's on board with this as well, but I'm finding that I have to reach, if I can reach Kalvin, which I have, and Kalvin and I are starting to collaborate more. And I think there's going to be some beautiful stuff coming up in 2021 with veterans and Mustangs. And that's really, really cool. And it's just, but to go and say, man, my people, my tribe is ignoring me. My people, my tribe think that, what are you doing? It's like they can't grab onto it. Yet I'm the one that's dealing with all the horses that they gave up with and gave up on. So it's like, but until I think the Kalvins and the Julios and the Alicias and everyone that's on this panel, when they start coming in and realizing that there's this deeper, more meaningful way of connecting with horses, which also spins into a deeper, more meaningful way of how we can connect with humanity. I think that is where the big shift is going to come from. It's also freaking scary. So that's kind of, so here I am, I'm asking for help. I think some just the support from afar, but Kalvin's close by, Alicia's passes by from time to time. It's just time to start accepting more help. And I think in bringing on, sorry, Kalvin, I already volunteered you for stuff and you never even said yes. But to bring on some help, and in that, I think things are going to grow as well. And maybe that's part of Julio's answer, is maybe you will find help and that connection beyond your immediate family. And it's not going to be in your extended family. It's probably not going to be in any compadres that have horses, because they're still in the old ways. But there could be, I don't know, veterans as well down there in Mexico that might be big to reach, or who knows, there might be, Catholic nuns on roller skates at knit on Tuesday afternoons. It might be a big, I don't know. It's just, you never know where those people may come from. So that's just kind of my observation, and maybe that can be a little bit of help.
Thank you, George.
Perspective?
Matthew, what's your perspective on what George is struggling with the asking for help?
So, and by the way, loved Sohan, awesome advice, brother, as always. And so, Julio, one of the, just because I'm just want to make sure I'm 100% clear on the problem that you're facing. So you feeling like when you go to family things or you go to stuff like you're not like feeling connected, or like there's a disconnect there and you're just like, oh, it's just not worth the time. Is that like you haven't found your tribe kind of thing? Is that the feeling that you've got there?
No, let me get, if I get myself clear, it's not that I don't connect with them. It's like most of the time the talks what's going on those reunions, they are just not meant to me right now, So I make space and I'm there and I open my heart and I share this coherent energy. But man, I can be 15 minutes. And I love that, because we have a lot of teenagers and kids, and I just go and play with them. So
Yep.
when the adults are like, hey, you lose all these barbecue because you didn't came to talk about, no, really, and I don't want.
Yeah. So awesome. Thank you for clarifying that. So just to I'm going to give you context from the seat that I sit in, which is I've been an entrepreneur and businessman for 15 years. 13 of that in network marketing, right? So all of you probably are familiar with network marketing. That's where if you do it well, you do really, really well. And if you do it crap, everyone's like got a holy water and a cross, like, get that person out of my freaking barbecue, you weird pyramid person, right? We've all know these people like Desperate Debbie and, people that are like trying to get you, come join my team, do my thing, join my pyramid, we'll be millionaires. Like, that's the industry that I've come from. And I think I've negotiated and navigated that really, really well. As in, I was mentored by people that knew what they were doing. So, and what you guys are sharing here effectively is, I guess, like George, what you were sharing there, right? Like struggling to ask for help. So Sohan, I know you'd have done this like all of Tony Robbins' work, but the highest thing on the hierarchy of what human beings absolutely crave and want, the top, right? The bottom is like, I need certainty of all my basic human needs. I need it to be different. I need variety. I need like love and connection. The two top ones are growth and contribution. If you can tap into that for people, they say if you can tap into 4 of the 6, you are going to, love it. 4 of the 6, you are going to 4 of the 6, you are going to really create like a community where people will feel massively involved in what you're doing. You create raving fans. So I think in the world that we all live in, one is for all of us as men to be clear on what our mission is. And like George, you're doing, like, man, you're just magnetic. What you're doing, it's not that, like, it's just that enough people don't know about it. And you've got to give people a way to be involved with what you're doing. So the 3 things you need to be clear on is your mission, like what are you doing? Your message, like if people to say, you know, George or Sohan or Kalvin or Julio, like who are you and what do you do? And the last one is your medium. So, I mean, we live in the single best time to be alive from a point of being able to get your message out there. Like it's the decentralization of message. So you can build a YouTube channel educating about what you're doing. Like I have a friend, true story. I met him at a medieval festival, right? I have a huge interest in castles. That's a random fact about Matt, right? I love medieval castles. On YouTube, there's a guy that I met on there who his name is Shad. His channel is called Shadiversity, and he has built a 600,000 person following of him just rocking up, authentic as, and like his love of castles. I met him at a medieval abbey festival in the Sunshine Coast, the largest in Australia. And it was like just meeting someone who'd taken a passion they had, got clear on his message, which is just to share his enthusiasm for what he's doing, but has monetized it. So he's got, he and his wife, and he's got 4 kids. He's only a young guy too. I'm like, man, oh man, go you. But he has built a whole lifestyle around that, absolutely loves what he does. And there's countless numbers of people now. So I would suggest for any guy, it's, the other thing too is like, Julio, one thing that as a network marketer, right? Because I love what I do, and man, I want to have conversations with everyone about how you can like get your nutrition sorted and, get in the best shape of your life and launch an awesome business and change your life. Most people are not ready for that, right? So my mission as I'm navigating in the world is to not be the desperate person that everyone's like, God, get that guy away from me, is to meet people where they're at. So my goal, first thing, is to just meet people where they're at and kind of get a feel for them and their life, ask them some basic questions. But like I get often asked, they're like, Matt, why don't you try to recruit or prospect or do that with someone? And, why don't you? And I'm like, look, they're not ready. They're not there. So I want to meet people where they're at, love them where they're at, but plant seeds for growth. So I'll constantly be looking at like seeing, it's almost like you're fishing, right? You just seeing if someone responds to, you might make a statement to see if someone's interested. And if they don't respond, I just let it be. Because I think sometimes too often we are super passionate about something that can often be very niche, and we go into a general social circumstance where people probably don't have the level of growth or interest or development, and you're almost like to a lack of enjoyment for yourself, you end up being that intense person that people are like, man, don't get stuck talking to that guy. You'll be here forever. Which I have been there many times in the past. So the secret to it is I just want to get to know people really well, like find out where they're at, love them where they're at, plant some seeds for growth, and just see what I can learn from them. In a social society, that's all my goal is to connect and learn. Because in doing that, taking all that pressure off, I'm not trying to force people to fit into what like I'm looking for, but when it comes, I'm just like, oh, like a true story. A phone call that just came in there is a lady who found me online. She's since purchased about $500 of products and programs that I've got, but she sought me out. We had a 30-second conversation. Because I show up in life as I do online, it was like instant connection. All the hard work was done. And it was like, she's doing awesome stuff. Like that's sort of how it, I think, meshes in. So I would say, like, George, you've got such an opportunity there, you, Julio, as well, to get really clear on who you are, what your message is, which medium you're going to run with. And I think like where you're actually just storytelling what you're up to and giving people that opportunity to contribute. Like, if I don't know if anyone saw Tiger King, right? Someone who's nailed that is freaking Carol Baskin. She nailed that. She got people coming in from all across the world paying her to be part of what that mad bat's doing. But we can do it, like this is she's nailed the growth and contribution thing. So I mean, I don't see how I see that you could do the exact same thing. That's what I would like to offer to that conversation. I hope it helps.
It
Thank you,
would be
Matthew.
fun to talk a little bit, Matt, offline
For sure, man.
or schedule a little time.
For sure, I'd love to.
Now, Matt, Mr. Matthew, do you have something that you would like to vulnerably share with the group that you're struggling with?
The struggle is real. I'm trying to think.
You're like, I'm struggling to come up to talk about something that I'm struggling with right now. Sorry.
No. Look, I've struggles. I think I'm just trying to think of where I'm struggling. It's I'm not trying to not be vulnerable either. I'm just trying to find something that's actually going to be useful for the group. I would say,
That's okay.
Actually, I've got one for you. I don't know if any of you guys have kids. So my wife and I, we're at that stage now where we've been married for 2 years. I know that it's time, like I'm 38 years old, she's 31. And I'm at that point where I'm like, okay, cool. Kids are on the horizon, right? And maybe I've just got Peter Pan syndrome, or like I've never had that huge desire. I'm a great uncle, but I like handing them back. So it's that next level of like, holy, like out of all the gents on here, who actually has kids? Brett, I know you do. Who does?
Raise your hand.
Right.
No,
He's my baby. This one's my baby.
Everyone has kids except for me and Matthew and Sohan. Sohan has his dog child, but yeah, so everybody but me, Matthew, and Sohan have children.
I'm gonna be a grandpa in Feb. That's awesome, James. So cool. So that's awesome, man. Unreal. So question is like, how did life change for you going from being just you to having kids?
You won't really know until it happens, and that's a shitty answer, but that's my opinion. Is that I always wanted to. I mentioned in my talk that I always wanted to be a dad. You know, from the age of 14, which is ridiculous. And whether you be a boy or a girl, that's ridiculous. But it didn't happen until I was 40. So you still got time. They still work. You know, I was 40, and you know what? Like, it's actually better than I imagined. When they're a baby, any of you guys that are dads here will know, when they're a baby, I think it was you, Sohan, was talking about, you know, locking the door and like turning up the music. Yeah, you feel like that. You do. There are some days where the baby does not stop crying, but your love just overflows. And I think that like my advice on that is like you'll make the decision when it's time. I wouldn't do it I don't feel like you need to make a conscious decision unless one of you is like having like, oh, come on, you know, really need to make it happen. Unless one of you is not. Well, you know,
not yet.
I think you're fine. I think you'll know, like you'll get that feeling. Like I think it's time. And actually, I'll tell you, my ex, whose name is very similar to Alicia, it's Alyssa. Alyssa didn't want to have have kids. It was that she was frightened of going through childbirth.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So that was what it really came down to. The root cause is that her mum scarred her. No, actually, her mum didn't scar her. Her mum said, like, her mum had 5 kids, by the way, 6 kids. Her mum's like, oh, it's, you know, it's like, it's so joyful and it's so nice and easy. And like, she made it sound really like breezy. And yet one of her good friends at work said it was the most excruciating pain she has ever had in her life. And that was the person that scarred her. And so she didn't want to have kids because of that reason, but she got to a certain age, and she's 5 years younger than me. So would have been 2 years before we did. So she would have been 32 when she really, like, it just kicked in and she went, it's time. And we tried. We were both stressed out, working, you know, I was working full-time real estate. She was running 2 insurance businesses, and it just wasn't going to happen. Not just that, someone mentioned it before. I think it was you, Sohan, again. You know, mentioning about you got to get to the cause, to get to the root cause. Well, if you heard my talk, you know what the root cause was. I wasn't being fucking honest. I was being dishonest. My partner had no idea what the real problem was.
You're being a nice guy.
I was. Well, yeah. Well, being a nice guy to try and get what I wanted, which was to not lose her.
Exactly.
And yeah, and the point is, right, we moved to this beautiful place where I'm living now, you know, because we caught up here in Noosa. And what?
Wow.
Whoa. That's
It's
freaky.
his kid's name. That was our crazy connection, that he has my name tattooed on his arm like a foot long. And that's the only reason he started talking to me when I messaged him on Facebook, because he's like famous basically. And he's like, I get like 100 messages a day, but I have your name tattooed on my arm. So I guess I can talk to you.
That's so cool. I love it. That's really nice tattoos, by the way. Yes. So where was I? I was being dishonest, right? I was not telling my wife what was really going on. We went to counselling. I don't know if this might be a little bit off topic, but I'll get to the point. We went to counselling, and you know, we're trying, like, and this is why I mentioned cause and effect, right? We're trying to treat the effect, and she doesn't really know what the hell's going on. I kind of did. Oh, sorry. There goes the drilling. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to do some of that. And, you know, I didn't, and look, without me getting really deep into, you know, the personal stuff of it, the point is, we moved here.
That's a sign.
It is. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. We moved here. We got really fit. We were de-stressed, and we had sex once. I mean once, and it happened. There's more to the story, but the point is, like, we were meant to have that boy, right? And we hadn't dealt with the issues, and she still doesn't really know, unless she reads my book. She still doesn't really know. I've offered her to read it. I don't think she has. She doesn't really know what was really going on, you know, and that was my issue, my fault. You guys don't have that. You guys have a great relationship. So my advice to you is, like, you'll know, you'll get that feeling. I think it's time. Hey, honey, you're looking good tonight or today. Doesn't really matter. You can do it anywhere. Don't wait. Actually, it was daytime, by the way. Don't tell her I told you that. That's why I remember it, because we'd never done it during the day. And I was like, oh, that's the only time. Yeah, anyway, that's enough. Okay, I'm out.
Well, good. Thank you for sharing about James. Did you have something to add?
Well, I'm sorry,
Grandpa.
I've definitely got something to add. I'll share with you, but I'll wait. I think James can come out and share, or Kalvin, or
Matthew, can you please repeat the question? What exactly is it you're looking for again? Because I want to make sure I answer it right or correct.
The question I had is advice from dads out there, how your life changed going from being not a dad to a dad. And you're going to being a granddad, you say here, a grandpa in February. So I'd like
my daughter, she's 27 years young. So I had my daughter, who's on my arm, pronounced Alicia though, not Alicia, comes from Elysian fields where blessed souls go. Right. And my 10-year-old son, Lucas. So one came from a party, one came planned. I won't tell you which is which. But yeah, she just announced that I'm going to be a granddad. We had the reveal, and it was blue, and pretty excited. I think I hold the record for the loudest scream ever for a granddad. So yeah, you know, with my daughter, you know, being a young father, very difficult at the age of 21, being a club owner, addicted to pretty much every drug you can think of, more money than I knew what to do with, strippers, cocaine everywhere, not the greatest dad role model until the age of 6. And I missed about 3 years of her life because I was heavily addicted to cocaine, dealing cocaine, one of the biggest cocaine suppliers in Toronto. Kept that up from 15 to 30. My story goes all the way back to being bullied. I'm German. I grew up in a very Anglo-Saxon British city, London, Ontario, Canada. Beat up for what happened in World War II, called the N-word, the German N-word, from a very young age, going to school, getting the shit kicked out of me by 2 British boys that were in grade 8. Didn't stop until grade 9 for them. I didn't see them anymore. Relatively peaceful until I went to high school. Then I started getting bullied by the football players, had a lot of problems with them. I was dating the captain of the football team's ex-girlfriend, so it caused a lot of problems. Very Caucasian city. I ended up downtown, London, Ontario, where my crew, my family, my gang, where I was jumped into to protect myself from bullying. I couldn't get out until the age of 30. Did prison time. I was the youngest prisoner ever in the largest prison here in Canada for the murder capital prison of Canada on my 18th birthday. So, living that lifestyle, growing up in prison, good kid, bad choices, never hurt anybody, always counterpunching, always self-defense, always, dealing with bullying. Joined a gang, which was a very lethal gang that allowed me to navigate through high school without, any problems anymore. We became the bullies ourselves. We became the bully hunters, and did a lot of damage to bullies that bullied me and bullied others. So now I talk about it in high schools. I'm on a tour called the Power of Choice tour, bringing awareness to the now, because this is the only moment that we really truly have. Who are we now? Who is Brett now? Who is Alicia now? Who is George now? Who is Matt now in this moment? That's all I give a fuck about. Who are you now, right here in front of you? Nobody's coming to save us. I tell that to the kids that are in the streets. I work with a lot of teens now. When I was 30, long story short, I overdosed on my own supply. I was one of the largest cocaine dealers in Toronto. You never get into doing your own supply. I mean, it's one of the cardinal rules of dealing. And I died. I literally died. I overdosed. And my daughter, when I came through, luckily by God's grace, I did one of those Sohan movements, where you see your life going before your eyes. That was a pretty great visual, Sohan, by the way. So she came to me and she said some lines that kept me clean until this day. I've been 18 years clean, sitting here in front of you guys. So thanks, man. And heavily addicted to like, you name it. So like I could have killed an elephant with the amount of shit that I did. 7 friends are dead from drug overdoses. 1 friend dead, shot dead, gang violence, including my best friend. So it's not fun burying your friends, that's for sure. So I've experienced a lot of that. My daughter came to me and she's like, Dad, she goes, what happens if you go back to prison or you die? What if I need you? What if I need you? And that line right there, that kept me clean until this moment. That's what it means to be a dad. She saved my life. She was born to save me so I can get it right with my son, which I am. This is the heir to the kingdom of whatever I'm building, right? And get it right with my daughter's child, to show her that, I'm not that guy, that father, the first 6 years of your life. That's hard for a young father to cope with, especially one that was addicted to drugs and, that talks about it in high schools. I'm very open and honest, like the way I'm talking to you guys about it. I'm very vulnerable to these high school students, and my chosen target demographic is 14 to 17-year-old kids in high schools where, I'm lucky if I make $500 a visit. I charge $5,000 an hour to speak corporately, but it bores the fuck out of me. Like they don't even want to hear from me because it's usually the company that's hiring me and they're sitting there because they have to, right? So where you have these kids that you can actually genuinely make generational change by serving and guiding these kids with all of our vulnerable stories. Like what you guys shared over the last 2 days, that shit needs to be heard by the younger generation. That's how we make change. So I want to ask for help if you guys don't mind. Are you guys open to having a screen share for 3 minutes to show you my crowdfunding video for the Reviver Rejuvenation Ranch, for my first ranch? It's actually a property. I wanted to show George this especially, so you can see what I have. I've got a full-size racetrack for practice. I got 120 stalls. They're all empty. The guy who had it before mismanaged the entire thing. And it's about 2 kilometers away from a casino that has a huge racetrack. It used to house 120 horses, of which it was all self-service. So I want to do a full service housing. That generates about $50,000 a month. The bills are about $20,000 a month. So that's one of the reasons I chose this particular $3.9 million property. I have an ex-Navy SEAL from Texas who's actually donating 3.3 million Canadian dollars. So I'm about 600,000 short to buy this particular property. So wanted to show you guys the video. It's all about serving youth. It's 160 kids. It's called Reviver Rejuvenation Ranch, and it's a social enterprise. Do you guys know what social entrepreneurship is? I'm sure most of you do. I know Sohan's shaking his head vigorously over there. Yeah, so I'm a social entrepreneur. It's about living well and doing good. Charity's fucking bullshit. I've been in so much charitable bullshit that's like mismanagement of funds, directors that are getting into it for the right reasons, but for some reason they get, tainted along the way. Greed gets set in there. Donor fatigue is huge. That model of charity doesn't work anymore. So social enterprise is about generating a shit ton of money and deciding ourselves, what do we do with it? You don't have to have a board. You have good people with good hearts, good leaders that don't get voted out for, the perception of doing it for themselves when they're clearly not, which I've experienced numerous times being on having boards boot me out of my own project. And then the following year, they vote me in as the chair because they see what I'm really in it for with my heart. Which has happened. Another story, long story, but I won't tell you that one yet. This particular project, I'm looking for good men, good women, counselors, academic directors. It's based on the apprenticeship model from Europe versus, the academic model here in North America. We're going to work on getting their high school diplomas. That's part of the hand up. It's not a handout. It's a hand up. So there's no free lunch. 160 kids, 80 girls, 80 boys, 80 are rich and 80 are poor, okay? And they're all mixed in together, and all the boys got the cyan t-shirts and the girls got the magenta t-shirts, so there's no Prada and Gucci and then, Value Village. It's all one tribe now. They're all coming together. So it's a $75,000 tuition for each kid. So do the math quickly. 160 kids times 75 grand. In Canada, it's Canadian. In America, it's American dollars. That's $12 million a year revenue that now the executive director of that particular property can put it, what do they want to put in? You want to put 90% back into that project. Still, the 10% that's left over is more than enough to be, there's no need to be greedy. Right? So you can put 90% of it back into the system to grow it, to build more. It's about $5 million to get the system going. I'm looking to build 12 across Canada. So I'm on a personal raise right now for $60 million where I'm going to pay for them fully myself, donate them 100% myself, remove myself from the actual project so the kids own it, raise 2 million to 5 million a year. So there's a 20 million slush fund per ranch. From that, it's completely sustainable. It doesn't need any out money anymore. So that'll take about 10 years in order for that to happen for each particular ranch. So if you guys are okay with it, I'll stop talking. I'm going to do a screen share. I'll show you a short video. Nobody's seen this video yet. I'm looking to use it as a crowdfunding video, and I just wanted to get your guys' professional opinions, your expertise, and coming from a loving, unconditional, non-judgment space. I'm kind of the star in the video, kind of showing people what's going on. I break down in it. My team, I asked them clearly not to put a certain piece in, but but they did. So you'll see me pretty vulnerable in the space because I am one of these kids. By God's grace, I'm sitting here talking to you guys. I'm a believer. I'm non-religious, but I'm a big, big believer. And, you know, I'm connected. I go all over the world. I've got 14 orphan boys that I serve in India, my second home. I live in Mumbai, India. I live in Doha, Qatar. I'm building a factory, a 3M factory for masks in Doha, Qatar, currently with the Qatari government. And my favorite place on earth is Munich, Germany. So I'm going to show you guys this video. I've never done a screen share before, so maybe George can teach me how. I don't know. What do I do? Do I screen share first and then
go to the bottom, buddy? There's a green button that says share screen. Okay, I already made you the host, so you should just hit the green button that says share screen and be good to go.
So all I do is that and click
Yep.
share. Share.
And then
Share.
press start.
Open. Did I do it right?
No.
It'll change.
Why don't you share your screen so we can help you to share your screen? No, I'm joking.
Okay. Desktop
So
one.
looking at
Share. Open system preferences.
so if you go to the regular screen where you can see all of us for Zoom, on the bottom there's a green button that says share screen.
Yeah.
All you should have to do is hit that.
So open, one participant can share time, multiple participants can share simultaneously. One participant. Screen share. So how do I find the video though? Files.
You got this. I believe in you, James.
Ah,
Great.
this is a first, man.
Love it.
Together. Beautiful role modeling for the populace.
Why is this not working? Here we go. Okay, let's try this.
Let it be easy.
That's right. Let it be easy. You can always share later if need be to the Lion's Den.
You know
and
what
the
I
guy
can do? I don't know if this will work,
later
but
give
if
you
I put this video into
the chat.
the chat, maybe somebody can do it for me. Hold on.
There you go.
So you gotta open the video, James, in your computer, and then you share the screen. It will open up a new screen.
Oh, the video first.
Hear music.
Can you see it? No.
No, hit share screen now. See if it'll work.
I'm actually one of these kids. I'm one of the few that made it out alive. 7 of my friends are dead from drug overdoses. One friend.
It's actually uploading while we talk. It'll pop up in the thread there.
All right. How about this? How about you can
talk about something else while it's
I was
uploading.
going to say, James, how about you try and figure that out in someone else who has not yet shared with Matthew in regards to fatherhood can pop in really quick so that we can honor his question fully in that whole experience.
Real quick,
Robin?
can I share? I'll share, Matthew. That's a great question. I've got 6 kids, 5 girls, 1 boy. My oldest is 20. She turns 24 next year.
Wow, that's all I'm gonna say.
So she's already has a 2-year-old, and she's pregnant with her second. So and then it's every 2 years after that, 22, 20, 18, 16, 14. So, I've got the greatest thing that I could ever say about a dad is that it is the closest thing that you could ever understand. If you're a Christian or not, or if you believe in God or not, or if you believe in the Bible or not, it doesn't matter. It is the closest thing of understanding God the Father that I could ever explain, better than any church, better than any sermon, better than any explanation that anybody could have about religion. That a deep part of us understands that there is something greater than ourselves, and that there's love, and there's care, and that there's support, but you don't get it until you have a child that you watch nurture as a baby, and they can't do anything, and you've got to cover them, and you got to protect them, you got to watch over them. Then they start to get active, and then you've got to really watch over them and protect them, because then as a toddler, they can pretty much get into anything. And that's the learning phase where you're really excited about wanting to teach and share important life lessons. When they become young queens, where they start to have an opinion and they won't always agree with what you say. And it's a very humbling experience, because by the time they're a baby to then, you've been taking care of their needs and their wants and their desires, and they think you're their hero, until they start to get an opinion and they don't agree with you anymore. Then the teenage years, that's the funnest part right there, because then that's the transition point where they're trying to become an adult and you're trying to still be the dad and support, but then your position changes in terms of allowing them to make mistakes so that that way they can learn, and learning how to love and care for them all in the same thing. And then the greatest part is when they become adults, because then you get to figure out how to be their friend. And I share this because throughout my whole time of being a dad, I've messed up. I've set expectations that may have been too high sometimes. I've not always disciplined correctly. I've not always done the best that I could. But it is probably by far the greatest opportunity that I've ever had to grow as a person, to know my foibles, to understand where I'm weak at, to understand my strengths, to understand that the greatest opportunity that I get a chance to share with my kids and then being a dad is that dads are so vitally important. No matter what the world says, no matter what the media says, no matter what the news says, they're so important. Be yourself, be vulnerable, be real, and own your shit. When you mess up, just own it.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate that. That's just superb.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Can I just jump in and add to Kalvin?
Yeah, Brett, go ahead, please.
Matt, this is something that you want to look at, right? There is an expectation that you have as a story as an adult, and then there is you in your soul, in your spirit. And one great thing that you want to craft, like one of the things that I noticed when Brett was checking in on you, you said, not really, both of us we're not sitting hell bent waiting and trying hard. So you're not trying hard, correct? You're not trying for kids, but you're essentially going by an expectation or a story that you have and she has, or you both have, or you might have alone and she has a different one. And you're trying to build something from there to be a father. And I will always ask you, think about asking two questions. What does my mind say about this being a dad in terms of time? And second, what does my spirit say about this? And the one that you want to listen to is your spirit, your gut, your instinct. That's where the honesty, that's where the vulnerability, that's where the conversation about authenticity, everything that the boys are talking about is where it's coming from, which is listen to your spirit and what is your spirit saying? Because you can be a father in so many different ways that it's not necessarily the way you might imagine it to be. And fatherhood is a principle, because look at what Kalvin just shared, right? Like everything he spoke about was about who he became on the journey, and nothing to do with what he did, but it's who he was being throughout at every phase. And kids are put into our life as well. Fatherhood is a role that we as human beings or men get a chance to learn about us, not so much about, and learn from those kids or learn from our children per se. A lot of times people joke about, pets or dogs not being the same as kids. And there are a lot of similarities and there are also a lot of dissimilarities. But if I take the similarities, which is a massive chunk enough in this human lifetime to experience and grow from and experience character building, therapy, there are a lot of things in there that you can learn from and see that the reality is us being who we are and from what we want to experience from our gut. And it's not necessarily based on the story that we've been raised with to create an expectation of what fatherhood should look like. In the sense of you could end up being a father. Look at what you have right now and the role you're playing with the people that you have on your team. You are a father figure for a lot of them, because when you look at a father figure, all the dads over here will agree your leadership role is what you're portraying, and you as a character that's being built through that leadership is what you're presenting in the world. And so the definition of fatherhood does not necessarily have to mean you have a biological connection with someone to be a father as a label. If you're a father, you probably already are one. You just don't call that. You don't call yourself one, but you probably already are playing a role of being a father. You may not hold them and change their diapers literally, but you are figuratively changing their diapers when you're dealing with human connection and the tantrum that they throw at you, and they depend and rely on you when you're trying to build them towards becoming independent versus codependent, right? That's essentially what every single great loving father does. He wants to be able to create not a dependable child, but an independent human being full of love. And that's what you're creating too. So a lot of times people get caught up in this conditioning of what they need to be as a father. I became a father 5 times, and all 5 times they were taken away from me. They were all in the form of miscarriages and 2 abortions. One, the very first one, was an abortion which we didn't want to have. It was conscious, but when I look back at it, it was an immature decision, and it was from a place of fear and deprivating thinking. Today, the last one that I had, when I look back at it today, that was again a sign that was a child that was terminated. The pregnancy was terminated without my consent, against my consent. So it was taken away. And I've always wanted to be a dad from the time I can remember. That's why I use the word always. But my fatherhood has come in the form of looking at this beautiful soul right here. So to you and to the world, she may seem like a dog or a puppy in that physical realm. But when I look at the spiritual realm, the connection that a father has, just like I have with my dad, just like you might have with your dad, is the spiritual connection that we have with one another, which we somehow have to experience. I think Kalvin said it beautifully yesterday. You know, you reach a point in your life where you have a significant event to experience the growth and experience of what it takes, where you never change again and you will never forget, because you grow into someone that you always aspired to be, that you never were. And that's what this connection creates in fatherhood with a child, be it a human child, or whether it's an animal, or whether it's a team of people. It's that human connection that allows you to grow as a human being. So your fatherhood will come from you as your growth, and you're already growing as a father. If you look back and look at how you're not labeling it that. So, you know, I may not be a father to a human child, but I'm a father to this human soul, which is, well, I call it human soul, but she's a puppy, but she's a spirit. And she speaks to me every single day. She teaches me the power of unconditional love. She tests me every single day, my patience of how I need to be. She teaches me the trading of appreciation over expectations. And she shows that every child, whether it's a dog or a human, will teach you that. That's what it's taught Kalvin every single phase of his life with all his 6 kids. That's the same for James. For Brett, it's the same thing. And you will experience that too, should you go down that path. But listen to your gut as a starting point and go with the spirit. And if the spirit feels not the right time, this is the time to enjoy my being with my wife and the way we are, then listen to that. Don't feel like you have to be pressured, because a lot of relationships do not carry the same weight when kids come into their life, because they don't know how to learn how to fucking be a man for their queen. They forget the value of being the king that they were before the kids arrived. And so there's a lot of grooming that you learn. That's why it's so beautiful in character building that you go through. And you got to be lucky to be like Kalvin, to have 6 kids to experience that one after another, you know, after the first round, the second round, but they're all different as experiences. But the challenge has always been, and he will admit to it, and every man does, when you have those kids, you have another relationship. So you got 6 relationships plus one that was the original one that still needs to be maintained strong enough to keep that going. And so the fear factors that you're dealing with, put that on the table and list them out, and all the fears you're thinking of, and look at which ones are internal and which ones are external. The external ones, no dramas. They have an internal connection. Go back into the source and look at all the deprivating thought process that's happening within you. Think about all the self-sabotaging thoughts and feelings that are coming up for you that is bringing you to a point where you might either have a thought about the excitement of having them, or the apprehension of going, not sure, the uncertainty what to expect. Sit with those feelings and realize you already are a dad. You just didn't call yourself one.
Sohan, thank you so much for all of that. I really appreciate it. And it's almost as if you were in my head, because if you hadn't brought up a particular point, I was going to jump in there. And that is that this space of men being allowed to talk about what it feels like to lose a child, be it from a miscarriage, an abortion, that like the wife taking it away, something happening in the household and kids being taken away from a court situation, like nobody holds that space for men that I hear about. And it's like this taboo topic in society. And so I'm really grateful that you brought that up. And we have 3 different men speaking on the subject of parenting in the December summit on the 12th and the 13th. And yeah, why wives remove kids from the lives of good dads. I mean, it happens. And it's sad. There's like lots of different things that happen out there. Like sometimes they're taken away for really good reasons, and sometimes they're not. And holding space and allowing men to speak with each other and be allowed to grieve in those spaces is incredibly important. And understanding that a lot of women do have miscarriages within the first 3 months of pregnancy. Like it's pretty normal. And to just be able to be in a space of awareness within yourself of how you're going to support yourself and how you're going to support your partner is really important, because you need to be supported just as much as your partner is that, in taking the time away from society as need be and not answering the questions of anybody else and just honoring your own space. So that's my 2 cents of that taboo topic. Yeah.
I did want to find out, Matthew, did that help with your question?
All very helpful. So yeah, all the different perspectives are brilliant. So I like, as I said, the number one thing is you find people who've already done what you want or where you're going, and get advice along the way. So appreciate you sharing, brother. That was really cool. 6 kids, man. I'm just in awe. That's so cool. Brilliant.
Well, I had to have 5 girls in order to help temper my masculine self, because I grew up with 2 other brothers, and we got.
You must have beat level 400.
Hey, you got no excuse of no feminine energy in you now, bro. Hell no.
That's super funny. Thank you so much for holding that sacred space. And see, we just had to give Matthew a little bit more time to think, and look at all that beautiful content that just got to come forth. All, you know, it's just, we dig deep sometimes, there's gold there. So before we go on to the next question, we'll give James his 3 minutes that he asked for, so that he can continue to serve other children out there, and how he respects all of you in your opinion, to be honest, to be vulnerable and true. So I will switch back to that shared content, and James, my friend, rock and roll.
I'm actually one of these kids. I'm one of the few that made it out alive. 7 of my friends are dead from drug overdoses. 1 friend dead from gang violence, shot to death. And that's not fun. 8 funerals is a hard part to talk about. James Erdt here, Chief Architect of WOW for Dynamo Entrepreneur and host of the Dynamo Show. I'm also the CEO and founder of the Revival Rejuvenation Ranch for at-risk teens. We are working with 14 to 17-year-old kids that are coming from deplorable circumstances, the 13 priority neighborhoods that are around the GTA, which is our test group right now. And we're building a facility of inclusion, diversity, skill building, aligning them with good teachers, good instructors, good facilitators, and people that genuinely care about them at the boot camp of love. So this 97-acre property out here in Waterdown, Ontario, Canada, has 15 buildings on it, 120 racehorse stalls, a full-size racetrack so the horses can get out and practice. It's actually a business in itself, so it's one of the modules and the revenue streams coming off of the property to support the sustainability of the project. Going into prison isn't a fun thing. There's nothing rehabilitative about the prison system here in Canada or elsewhere around the world. We focus on rejuvenation. Rejuvenation is about inserting life and love back into these kids. Love is what's missing in these kids' lives. Whether it's parents that are too busy getting involved in gangs, protecting yourself like I did from bullying, getting involved with the wrong people in the wrong circles and doing the wrong things. The Reviver Ranch is going to save the government of Canada millions of dollars on healthcare, welfare, the ripple effects of gun violence, dead cops, and dead kids. Please be so kind and donate when you can. We're open to your support. We're open to your feedback and suggestions. This is a community effort. This isn't just me. This just isn't my staff. This just isn't the kids. This is about you and our communities.
That was touching, bro.
Thank you.
I'm actually one of these kids. I'm one of the few that made it out alive. 7 of my friends are dead from drug overdoses.
Trying to turn it
One
off
friend
now.
dead from gang violence, shot to death.
How do I turn this shit off?
It's a hard part.
All right, guys, your thoughts on his video, vision, and how he's trying to help others, and since we're here for vulnerable sharing.
Trying to figure out how to turn it off.
The guys can talk over it.
How are you marketing the whole thing, James?
Marketing, I have not got into yet. Just to be straight up with you, it's all about before we even offer it to one child, it has to be fucking bulletproof. Why is it doing that? I can't even find it.
Are you on a Mac?
I'm on a Mac.
Yeah, just hit the command button and the Q button. First click on the video, make sure the video is right up in the front.
Trying to find the video.
Use your 3 fingers and then just swipe up on your mouse pad.
You know where it is? It's probably...
Oh, great.
Did somebody click on it in the thread by chance?
Nah.
None of us can see it.
Playing on your end though.
It's just on your side.
Fuck, man. I can't even find the video. Like I deleted it off my system.
Is that a laptop?
Until you get to it.
I wonder if I
do a command tab till you find
you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You still hear the music?
It's gone.
It's
I can't hear you guys now though. I turned my volume off.
Oh. Use command.
Wild, weird. You know what I'll do? Maybe I'll jump off and I'll jump back in.
Let it be easy.
Let it be easy.
Right, we still have a couple more chairs to go. It's all good. All right. All good. Wait, he's still. I'm like, is he here? Is he gone? What's happening?
He's gone.
He's gone, but he'll be back. All right. Well, until that happens, as you're ruminating on your conversation pieces for him, Brett, do you have anything else to share?
I was thinking about it, and I don't think I really have anything.
I want to say something to Matthew, because just Kalvin and Sohan and you, Brett, say everything, and Alicia. In my experience, a lot of programs that they are downloaded in my unconscious mind just pop up. So just for an example, how to eat and to behave in the table, suddenly you can be over there and watch things that it's not on your on your programming of have a good family, have a good father, have good education is going on, and you might be willing to explode sometimes, but it's amazing journey. So open up, like, to learn from them. That's for me my secret. Learn from them, not teach them. Learn from them.
Beautiful.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, James is back. It's gonna buy Brett a little bit more time. Any feedback for?
I have to head off in 5 minutes. I just wanted to thank everyone for their input and for everything that's been put together, and especially to you, Alicia. Appreciate you. Fantastic job you've done with all this.
I appreciate that. Not bad for a first run.
Very good for a first one.
Thank you. So Matthew, since you have to leave in 5, were there any last words that you had for James or for anybody else? Advice? It's okay to say no, you've already offered a lot.
I would say one of the, I think Julio, you just kind of touched on it there, but it is the stories that we are telling ourselves, right? If it's like who you think you are and who we think we aren't. And I'd pay close attention to the conversations that are going on between our ears constantly, and change that conversation, because that's one thing that I've found ridiculously beneficial. It's like power of life and death in the tongue, and speak life into your lives and life into the lives of others. I think I got where I am because I had a father and a grandmother and a mother and people who constantly encouraged me and overlooked the weird dumb shit that I did. And I think we can pay a lot of that forward to the people in our worlds, because there's plenty of people bringing people down. And I think we as a collective group have a wonderful opportunity to really empower, encourage, and equip people to go ahead and lead fantastic lives. And one of you might just be that person that makes a massive difference for someone else, and you'll never know about it. And that's always my wish moving forward. So just want to say thank you all, appreciate you all, and I'm going to now head off. Love you and leave you. Bye, everybody, and thank you for your awesome work. We'll be in touch.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew.
So much value. I am ceaselessly impressed by everyone's vulnerability and what they offer people here. Thank you for that. So James is back, and any other, so Sohan, you were asking him about marketing for his video.
Yeah, like how are you getting the word out there? And I think you said, James, that you're not doing it till it's bulletproof, and then that's where you stop.
Yes, great question. Very, very, very important piece, because it's about awareness that something like this actually exists. I have a song that I just became a musician. I've been, it's been a lifelong dream to become a DJ and electronic dance music producer. I'm a psytrance DJ. I go by Cybio, PSYB.io. I got the URL. So I'm actually changing my alias to just that one word, Cybio. Eventually I'll just phase out my old James Erdt personality, become like an Akon, build like an Akon city in Senegal somewhere, so I'm at a point in my life where I'm living purposefully, zero ego, humble is the new sexy, very grateful. We were talking a lot about kindness today, being kind, being a nice guy. I think one of the most powerful, empowering tools that we all have is gratitude. I think the most powerful prayer there is 2 words: thank you. So I'm saying thank you to each and every one of you for sharing today, genuinely, because you've all touched my heart. And this is a powerful, powerful platform. Like we're here experiencing the birth of something potentially massive, and not only for men, but also for women. Right? How many women do we know that could benefit from something like this in a safe space, right? Speaking amongst other women, especially right now during this COVID, fiasco that we're going through right now, where everybody's kind of stuck at home. There's a lot of suicide. There's a lot of addiction. I have a buddy, he works at the LCBO, it's the alcohol store. He's like, it's 30% up in sales right now. 30% alcohol has gone up in sales. Suicides are rampant. I'm a teen suicide negotiator. I've been very, very busy in this last 6 months. It's horrendous to see, you know, what's going on privately, you know, behind closed doors, and kids that can't get out anymore, and they're already having problems and challenges. So I was about to open this ranch in March, and because of COVID, I can't put 160 kids together now. So everything I knew, all my revenue streams as a personal development coach, speaker, you know, I was on the speaking circuit, making significant money. That's gone. There's no more live audiences. I've been talking to Alicia actually about doing something for high schools, like doing some sort of a virtual 90-minute type, you know, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, a lot of value, pack it in, just like Brett did, like where he just fucking jammed all this shit into like 1 hour. I loved Brett's presentation. It was like so much value. It was like bang, 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 bang. I'm trying to type all the shit into my phone. All of you guys were great, by the way. But to answer your question, Sohan, it's a very important piece. I haven't got there yet because it has to be bulletproof to the point when we offer it to a kid. So, you know, 75,000 tuition is a lot of money for, you know, a kid that has absolutely fucking nothing, right? So people are saying, well, how is that possible? So the rich kids, the parents pay. Okay, so we have a community up here called Oakville. It's kind of like the Beverly Hills of Canada. I lived there for quite some time. I was married there before I escaped it. And then I basically realized that the rich kids, they have bigger problems sometimes than the poor kids because they're in such denial. The parents are in such denial. They're pushing it under the rug. And, you know, I didn't really hear the words, I love you, until I was 30 myself, right? So there's a big challenge with these kids that are coming from the wealthier communities that nobody is paying attention to because they're all focusing on poor little Joey in the ghetto, right? I'm one of those kids. I'm one of the kids that left that, and I went to the other group of kids, and I found home there. I found protection there. I found love there. I found my family there. I'm that one crazy Caucasian guy that you got to watch out for. Most of my friends are like Trinidadian, Lebanese, Jamaican, Indian, right? East Indian. So, you know, I'm that one guy that they accepted, and I found a home there, and I learned about diversity. And, you know, I come from a very Caucasian city that's very old school, and being German, being brought up German, you know, people, when they meet a German individual, automatically they think the worst because of shit that happened in 1945. Right? Stuff that I've had to deal with my entire life. I'm the most loving, unconditionally loving, you know, non-judgmental human being that I personally know. I'm sure I met a few of you guys right now because we're experiencing this together, and that's the message that has to get out there. You know, one tribe, humanity. I have a mission to share about AI. Are you guys familiar about AI? You know, Stephen Hawking, late Stephen Hawking, he said the last problem humans have invented is AI. And the key word in that phrase before he died is the word last. Like, think about that. The last problem humans have invented is AI. So I'm working on a TED Talk right now called Love Your AI. And it's about, you know, I'm a big Elon Musk fan and Neuralink and really embracing what's coming. If we fight AI, we're done. If we join forces and we become friendly and we stay synergistic with what's coming ahead, is our only chance for survival, in my personal opinion. All this shit is recorded. Everything, like all this stuff, fucking, it's listening to us all the time, right? I'm going to get some message now about horses, you know, coming up on my phone that I didn't really ask for, but I'm sure it'll show up somewhere because of what George talked about, and it's listening to me here, right? So I wanted to really show George this particular property.
If it's about the 52 thoroughbreds, ignore it. Ignore it. It all ends bad. Everybody that owns the 52 thoroughbreds dies. So don't take the 52 thoroughbreds. It's been going on for years. Just
forget about it, huh? Yeah, I mean, like it's interesting that we're all here. I've been talking about animal therapy for horses, with these kids for, let's say, 2 years. You know, 2 years before I met Alicia. Uniquely enough, you know, her name Alicia and her middle name Jane. Jane is my brother's widow. And when her name came up, Alicia Jane, I thought it was my brother's widow and my daughter playing a joke on me, right? Because I get hundreds of messages. I haven't checked email in fucking, I don't even know how long, because it's everybody else's agenda, right? I just is like, you know, I'm a big, you know, Brendan Burchard and Robin Sharma fan, and they're like, you know what, that's email is everybody else's agenda. Focus on what you need to focus on and who you need to talk to, and, you know, just whatever, right? If they need you, if they really need to get to you, there's other ways, right? So, yeah, so the marketing standpoint, when I get to that level of having the complete franchise system, we're about 95%. We got our employee manuals, you know, we have everything from, like, you know, role descriptions from our academic director to our counselors to everything from security. I'm in private security. So my dogs, I have a company called Best Bet Dobermans. So I train protection dogs. We sell them for 10,000 US. They're fully loaded, even trained. Like if it falls off the yacht, it knows how to get on the back of the yacht, you know, how to swim. Very, very zen dogs, trained to be like a drone. And from that, I also have 17 mercenaries that we hire out for predominantly Bitcoin millionaires and billionaires that are doing transactions. So I got into the Bitcoin space when it used to be like duffel bags of cash. So
I'm going to need you at one point.
I provide the security, but now these guys, they've come from Afghanistan, Iraq, fucking, I got Honduran guerrillas, you know, like you name it, man. They don't have the ability to get a normal job. They don't fit into society after going to war and doing what they do and seeing what they see, and the PTSD that's rampant among these men. I give them a second chance. So I've hired them all for the ranches. So they look like me. They're just like normal fucking dudes, but the kids can relate to them better. And people that, you know, have gone through the prison system or have gone through gang life, I'm bringing them on board. So I'm actually hiring from halfway houses. I'm going to halfway houses. I'm going to rehabilitation centers, and I'm giving all these men, predominantly men right now, because I was going to open up a boys ranch first, but then I thought, you know what? Society is both. Society is women and men. Why segregate the boys and the girls? The men have to learn. The boys have to learn respect for women. Period.
Absolutely. Amen.
Right?
Amen.
Period. Right? The girls have to learn that not all men are fucking douchebags.
Amen.
Right? So having them together and having a very strict set of 10 rules. When they arrive, there's 10 rules. Here you go. If you sign here, you obey the 10 rules. You break one of the rules, you leave. 0 tolerance. I don't have to fire you. I don't have to let you go. It's just very, very, very simple concept. Do unto others. You know, this is your home. It's your opportunity to become part of society. And when we reintegrate them back into society, I've already got Home Depot. I've already got Costco. I've already got Harley Davidson Canada coming on board to give the kids jobs when they graduate from our program. So from a marketing perspective, Sohan, those are big brands. You know what I love about your bio and your picture, Sohan, is as seen on TV. You got the little, you know, links of what's going on there. I was like, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing. That guy's a marketer right there. He's playing big. There's no messing around right there, right? So kudos to you. I mean, so I was really excited. I mean, Alicia knows to hear you speak, you know, and your energy yesterday coming on as the trailer for what was going to happen today made sure that we're all on it today. We're like, we got to see this fucking guy talk, man.
I hope we kept the expectations
rare. Keep it up, man. So,
all right, gentlemen, it has been an amazing conversation. We are actually 8 minutes past time. James, thank you so much for what you are going to be doing for all of these children. Literally, it sounds like it's going to end up being a global endeavor over the next 10 years. And I'm especially happy to see that you're integrating horses and working in like an apprenticeship system. I love that so much. Thank you, Julio, do you have a question, comment? Is that what your hand is, or just like a heart? You're happy about it? Fantastic.
Like a cheers, Matt. Cheers, Matt. That's so amazing what James is planning to do up there, because I mean, youth is
thank you, Julio.
What is gonna come to rule this world or to live.
So how do we bring it to Mexico?
By plane.
That's the next step is take the model and grow outwards. It's
a conversation, James, my friend, for another day. And I will happily connect all of the guys. All of you have a tremendous amount of value. I am so grateful for the time that all of you have taken out. I know that every single person that's been on the summit has been incredibly busy. It's fantastic. Sorry, I was just reading Sohan's post. I'm really happy that you guys are really feeling connected to one another and already reaching out, that you're creating more support systems and making friends. And that's really what this whole thing is all about, to create a network of men, a brotherhood for you to vulnerably lean into when you're struggling with, to feel safe, to trust, to expand your dreams, and in truth, just feel good about every piece of it. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for stepping up for this.
Thank you so much. Blessings and love to all. Thank you. This is a tremendous humankind brotherhood that is raising. We're just getting together. So we keep in touch with everyone. Yeah, of course.
Yes, and we have an amazing lineup coming up for December 12th and 13th. Men, again, all over the world, who are going to be deep diving into masculinity and relationships, talking about parenting, divorce, rites of passage, what young parents should know coming into it. We'll be talking about porn addiction. We're gonna go to all the places. So
let's go.
So it's gonna be great. But and I'm sure I will talk to all of you gentlemen before then, touching base and seeing how you're doing in your lives and hearing how you continue to develop your relationships with each other. And to everyone watching, thank you so much for being part of our journey. And we look forward to hearing just feedback in general for the value you've gotten. Feel free to PM me on Facebook Messenger, email me, email any of the guys through Facebook. Links are throughout, and also links are on their pages for where you signed up. So until next time, thanks everybody.
Take care of yourselves, okay?
Take care, guys. Love you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Take
Take care.